Hey, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, just like this. All right. So this video is gonna be about a series of videos I'll be doing about rare and scarce. I guess I can say that uh, comic books. A lot of them, well, all of them that I own, and I'll go over why I got them or what they're important to me. But also in this video, I'll go over the difference between actually scarce and rare. So, well, let's see. All right, all right, all right. So, as I mentioned, um, I have a lot of comic books, but I usually don't make a lot of videos about the comic books. But then my collection is starting to grow, and I was able to get some interesting books. Some are quite rare, and I realized, looking at some older videos, it's always cool to go back and watch things from 5 years, 10 years back, and that's the main reason I'm coming up with this series of videos. Uh, I've done some videos about the statues, some about the figures, some about that cabinet. Actually, a couple of videos about that cabinet. Um, but yeah, who knows? I may not keep them for that long. I may not be alive 20 years from now or so. So it's always cool. Well, if I'm still alive 20 years from now, to go back and see, some of the books I had or may still have. So that's the main reason I'm coming up with this series. It's mainly for myself and share with other collectors some cool books and maybe give them some ideas. And that's why I'll go over each one and explain why I got them and what's their importance to me. So every collector is different. So not everybody's gonna agree with what I'm gonna say. So, but yeah. So I'm gonna start the video series or after this video. But for now, I'm just gonna talk about what makes a book rare. How does it relate to the value? What's exactly is a book that's scarce? So I picked a couple of books here. Some are pretty rare, some kind of scarce. All very cool. And as you can see, I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so you're gonna see a trend here that a lot of those books are Spider-Man books. So uh, a quick example here, and I hate to pick on the Gibbon. Amazing Spider-Man 110, 9.8. It's very cool book, very high grade. I think this is the highest grade you can get on this book. There's about 27 copies or around that. I'll put the data on the side because I cannot memorize all the data, but around that, 9.8. So within that grade, it's a pretty rare book, um, but it sells for, I don't know, around $1,000, give or take a few bucks. Now next to it, we have another book, Amazing Spider-Man 129, which is the first appearance of the Punisher. So we have a Gibbon versus Punisher. So what's interesting about it is that there are a lot more of the 129, and just that's due to how popular the Punisher is in comparison to the Gibbon. Even though this is an earlier copy, the other one is far more popular. And that goes to show just it's not just the number of copies available or copies on that grade. Sometimes, or a lot of times, is the character, if it's the importance of the book itself. So this one is the first appearance of the Punisher. This one's the first appearance of the Gibbon. Um, that book on the right goes for about twice as much as the one on the left. Even though a 9.0, which is a very nice copy, by the way, it's white pages. Um, it goes for like maybe 1,600 to 2,000. Again, give or take a few bucks. This one's roughly half of that. This one's 27 copies. That one, I have to put the data here on the side, but I believe it's over 1,000 copies, maybe 1,100. So you'll think, wow, there's so much more of this one. Why is this one still so much cheaper? Well, it goes back to supply and demand in some ways. Even though the supply is a lot lower on this one, on this particular grade, the demand is not as great as on this one. So, and that goes back to what I mentioned in the beginning about a rare book and a book that's really scarce. So a rare book or anything that's rare, it just means there's very few of it. Doesn't mean just because there are few of it, there's going to be great value on it or great demand for it. Okay? Now a scarce book, it's not necessarily that rare sometimes, or may not be as rare some of the other books here, which is the example on 129 there. But it's a little bit scarce because there's a high demand on it, an ongoing demand, and sometimes it's kind of hard to get it because there's so much, what can I say? So many people holding on to it as well. So that's a big factor too. So there's a lot of things that go into value. It's not just, it's scarce or rare. Sometimes it's the character, sometimes it's not even the character. And that's why I have this other one here, Amazing Spider-Man 33. Amazing book, 9.8. I think that's the highest you can go on this one. Expensive book. I don't know how many are on this grade. But what makes this book kind of in high demand, well, the cover there, final chapter, is very popular cover. A lot of people love this issue. Sometimes it's the story as well, a very cool story. So there's a lot of that you need to look at as a collector. For me, it's an easy decision, to be honest with you. I'm not just buying to sell them. So I buy mainly because I'm a fan, I'm a collector. So I don't really care so much about the direct value of it or the initial value. I mean, I still don't want to overpay for books, even though I may have overpaid for a couple. But, there's always multiple reasons for the book to have that value. On this one here, it's one of the most recent ones. It's what makes this one more of a high value. It's just it's very rare. There may not be as much as demand now because not many people may know about it. But it's just it's a unique book. So that makes it interesting. Now this one, and that's why I have this one also as an example, is a signature book. But beyond being a signature book, right, because Stan Lee signed thousands of copies, this one was on his 90th birthday. So there's little things that add to the books that make them more valuable than others. So yeah, usually rare just means like there's not many of it, but which this is the case. There's not many. I mean, I consider 27 or 20 something, not many at that grade. But sometimes the scarcity of it, or on the supply and demand, sometimes the demand may drive, even though there may be a higher supply, the demand side of the equation kind of outpaces everything, and that's what is going to result in a much higher price. I usually collect Spider-Man, so that's why I have it here set up like this. If you haven't seen the video about the cabinet, just see it. I'm not going to go over too much about it. But as far as 9.8, There's a question sometimes I get a lot. Uh, yes, that's a factor. They're more rare at that condition. So the condition of the book is gonna have some weight, or a lot of times a lot of weight on the book. But personally, any book above 8 is a great looking book. And sometimes, like some of the books I have between the 9.8 and 9.6, I won't be able to tell the difference. um, but yeah, I hope you find this new series interesting. Again, it's more for my future reference. But I think being a collector, I like to watch other people's collections. I want to know why they got certain books. So that's what I'm going to be going over. So I hope you enjoy it. And I have a lot of books to go through. So it may be a long series. Okay. Any questions or comments? Or if you disagree with anything I said, just let me know and I'll get back to it as soon as possible. Okay. Thank you.